just blocked by the Braintree defender. That is the end of the match this evening. Maidstone United have been pegged back by Braintree Town. Maidstone United found themselves ahead at half-time through Marfal's strike, but a header from Joseph Grimwood has meant the spoils are shared. Grimwood equaliser after Files opener. It's Maidstone United 1, Braintree Town 1. Your thoughts on that match this evening here, Erik Hogg?
I would say that it's probably a fair result for both teams, as Maidstone getting the early goal, you could say they didn't deserve it, but they might have. I think we just did just enough to deserve it in the first half, and then Braintree obviously getting the goal 7 minutes into the second half and applying a lot of pressure after the goal. So both teams evenly, I'd say Maidstone had the better of the first half and Braintree had the better of the second half.
Yeah, I think 1-1, probably a fair result in the end. You know, Mofal, a lot of good link-up play in that first half, and then in the second half as well, once he was linking up with Duka and Reynolds coming on as well, but Sol and Tanga did well. So a lot of combinations for Maidstone to go forward with, not just for Saturday, which we'll come on to, but obviously more importantly longer term for the last 3 months of the season in the league, for that playoff spot they were pursuing. They were third at 1 point this evening, but most of the sides in South themselves have also drawn pretty much all the games. Worthing drew, Hampton and Richmond didn't play, Torquay drew, Maidstone drew, Averley are winning late on, but Maidstone were down to 5th after last night and Chelmsford's win at Welling. They're back up to 4th by the look of things in the National League South. A few concerning moments with the back line for Maidstone at times this evening. Some of the communications, got to admit, the conditions as we are being buffeted now have really not helped things too much so far this evening for our broadcast, for the quality of play down there. Potentially seeing Lucas Coverland walking off the pitch there, potentially as well for Coverland. That ball might have had ever so slight extra, but enough on there that saw that ball taken away from him for that equalising goal for Grimwood, getting that equaliser. The two ever presents for either side, both having played every single league minute so far. Grimwood getting the better of Coverland, and as you said, Erik, a deserved equaliser for Braintree in the end when you consider how poor their away record has been this season. Braintree Town, they've only had 2 away wins in the league all season long, and one of those is at Dartford, and they've both, you know, at least a couple of months ago, and of course not having played for 17 days, you'd think they were quite rusty. They did do quite well in that first half, didn't have too many chances created. They certainly aerially, a lot of set piece play was done by Braintree, and they did end up having a few decent chances. I know there was one point where Hoyt was left 2-on-1 with Alton Top and Pavey at the back stick, which was a bit concerning. That was after Pavey had put him down on the ground for the first time this evening, of course, and then he ended up doing it for a second time as well with that one there with that free kick that Pavey had short and absolutely thundered into Hoyt's head, which fortuitously for him and for Maidstone doesn't look like too longer term an injury that would keep him out of Saturday. Because I mean, yeah, we probably have got to start looking at Saturday now. Your thoughts ahead of the trip to Portman Road and Ipswich, the 4th round of the FA Cup for the first time in our mighty club's history. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be a massive day for the club. Biggest, probably, yeah, definitely the biggest game in the club's history. So obviously we're not expected to win, but never back the early kick-off.
No, indeed, as some people have said in the past. I mean, in terms of trying to look back at the closest match, say a decade or so ago, I was looking at the previous matches from my history, and the closest match to 10 years ago for this coming Saturday was the 25th of January, so Burns night. Ironic, of course, we'll be coming up against a Burns of Ipswich on Saturday. But yeah, 10 years ago, pretty much to the day, we were beating Hampton and Richmond 7-2 here in a home league win. And of course, we know all about Hampton and Richmond's calibre in the league, but when you consider 10 years ago we were playing them, a division or two below this one, and both sides at this sort of level now. Hampton and Richmond have had a brief bit of FA Cup success. Maidstone United, a lot of people here, a lot of fans, everyone around the club, never really dealt with anything this big. Some of the players may well have done and had bigger moments, not many you can think of down there that have had this sort of success in the FA Cup in the past. It's another chance that Maidstone have missed tonight as well to try and get that double that they were still looking for this season. They've not done the double over anyone, not at any point last season, not at any point this season. We've had a few chances already. The last double the Stones completed was actually against Chelmsford when we won the league nearly 21 months ago, of course. Somewhat ironically, Maidstone had slipped to 5th last night after Chelmsford beat Welling, as I've mentioned, and Maidstone have just about stayed in that top 4 or 5 area that they'll be fairly pleased with, and certainly seeing the likes of Dooku and File combining, there's probably hope for a replacement or some plural replacements for Levi and Manchi. But I'll probably leave you on this final thought after that. I will also mention Anthony Taylor, as I mentioned on air earlier. He's going to referee our match at Ipswich on Saturday, which is just weird to say. We had a Championship standard referee officiate for Stevenage, and obviously gave us that decision for the 2 penalties at once. That I've obviously had a chat with Mr. Wanja Smith, who of course corrected me. He gave the first challenge, not the second one, on Jacob. Jacob, hope your recovery's going well. So obviously the same to you as well, having seen you earlier. But yeah, Anthony Taylor, a FIFA referee for more than a decade, Premier League since 2010. He's been a League Cup final, Community Shield official in 2015, and the 2017 and 2020 COVID FA Cup finals. He's the first referee since 1901 to referee a second FA Cup final. Of course, Arthur King Scott was the last one to do so. Clearly I'm blasting off a load of trivia and Mother Nature saying we don't want that, we want you to go away. But I have got to leave you all with one final thought and say you might be feeling low on confidence ahead of the Stones trip to Portman Road in the FA Cup. Plenty of injured players, plenty of cup-tied players, league away form's fallen off of a cliff. But just think on this with the pre-mentioned Burns night ahead of us in a couple of nights' time. And Bonnyrigg Rose in Scotland, they'd never reached the 5th round of the Scottish Cup before this weekend, and they beat Falkirk 2-1 with a stoppage time winner on Saturday. Falkirk were the only unbeaten side in the UK this season. They were 26 games unbeaten. They'd not lost in the Cup or the league at all this season. So you might think that we are overwhelmingly the underdogs yet again in the Cup. But then we didn't think we would beat Barrow, and we didn't think we would beat Stevenage. And yet we are about to play Ipswich Town. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, another Stones scalp to add to this season's long list of Cup shocks. So, good luck to the entire squad of players, everyone at the club, everyone involved, everyone in the town, everyone that's going to Suffolk. Enjoy it on BBC One or at Portman Road itself. Fred, Nigel, it's over to you two. It's good night from the Gallagher, and from myself and Erik, as always, come on you Stones.